Welcome to the Enterprise Builders Podcast, powered by P3, where we feature top industry leaders discussing what it takes to build a profitable company and stay on top. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, I'm Scott Swearingen, co-host of the Enterprise Builders Podcast, where we sit down with business owners, executives, franchisees, accountants, and more to discuss how top businesses are thriving in today's economy. This episode is brought to you by P3 Cost Analysts. Since 1991, P3 has been helping businesses and government entities across the U.S. determine if their non-payroll related expenses are accurate and cost-effective. With the team of the industry's leading utility, telecom, waste and recycling, uniform and linen, and managed print auditors, P3 has helped save their clients hundreds of millions of dollars. Their experienced auditors have helped tens of thousands of businesses, from small business to Fortune 500. To learn more, visit costanalyst.com. And now for today's show. Virginia Beach, Virginia is consistently rated as one of the best places in the U.S. to live. Located where the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean meet, Virginia Beach has seen incredible growth both in business and recreational offerings. Today's guest is Virginia Beach's Mayor Bobby Dyer. Mayor Dyer was sworn into office in November of 2018. He's the first military veteran to be directly elected mayor in Virginia Beach's history. Beyond his military experience, Mayor Dyer has a diverse background, including experience as a healthcare executive, business consultant, and as a professor. Mayor Dyer holds a PhD in organizational leadership from Regents University. Mayor Dyer, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
It's a privilege to be here. And hey, thanks for doing what you do, because it really does help out the business community quite a bit.
Well, appreciate you taking the time to be on here. Without good guests, we would have nothing to offer. So we really appreciate you coming on. How's everything in Virginia Beach?
I'll tell you what, it's going great. We've been through our challenges, but, we got a very strong community here that we're very proud of. I'll say up front, no mayor does anything by him or herself. You got to surround yourself with a great management team, people that work for the city. But the people that live, work, and have their businesses here are the pulse of Virginia Beach.
Absolutely. Well, the success that you guys have had in your economic growth is apparent. We know nobody does that on their own, and it takes a good team and it takes good leadership. So I want to kind of just start with that. Let's talk about your career path. I said in the intro, you've got a very diverse career path leading up to where you're at today. From your military experience to healthcare to education, you had all of that before you decided to run for mayor. And it really does appear like you're an individual that likes a challenge. You like to continue to educate yourself. What kind of experiences have helped you along the way in preparing you as a leader of Virginia Beach?
Well, it was really interesting. I got a joke about myself. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey, so we all got nicknames. So I'm Bobby D. I'm a PT, physical therapist with a PhD, and I had ADHD before I knew what it was. And, so I got more letters after my name than in my name.
That's great.
Actually, believe it or not, I dropped out of high school at 17. I dropped out of the same high school, Irvington High School, that Jerry Lewis, the comedian, dropped out of, and went in the Marine Corps, but that was back in 1968. And I went to visit a friend of mine that was wounded in Vietnam and decided I wanted to get into healthcare, and I became a physical therapist. Went up the food chain a little bit, eventually became a hospital administrator, vice president of a hospital in New Jersey, got downsized out of a job, came to Virginia Beach, and fell in love with it and bought a house on a lake and got married. And, I tell you what, sometimes through adversity, you find opportunity. If I didn't get downsized out of that job, I wouldn't be here. But then I got elected to city council in 2004. And then in, 2018, I the mayor stepped down suddenly, and I ran, and I won a midterm election and a special election, and then 2020 got reelected. So it's been an interesting path, but I am blessed and humbled.
That's great. That's great. I want to go back to kind of what you're talking about with your military experience. We've had some other guests that did have military experience, and kind of a common thread that they said was impactful on them was kind of that exposure to situational leadership. Is that something that kind of stuck with you, or can you talk about your military experience and how that molded you as a leader that you are today?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's no real script to being a mayor. But I'll tell you what, let me just give you dare I say, an extreme example. We all know that not too long ago, we had a mass shooting right here on campus. And I'll tell you what, that was, tough navigating those waters. But once again, the community came together and we had a magnificent response. But, my foundation was a couple things. Number one, being a Marine, like I said, I went into the Marine Corps in 1968 at the height of the Tet Offensive that was going on in Vietnam. My eyes never saw the horrors of war because I got overseas orders that back in 1970, they started the
Okay.
pullout, and I wound up in Japan. But going through Paris Island and the challenges
Sure.
there, they had this thing called the confidence course, and they had us do all kinds of incredible things where, we had to climb on top of things, slide down cables over ponds and doing all that stuff. And you look at it and you say, my God, there's no way in heck I could be doing that stuff. But
Sure.
something, you find a way. And then when you're done, the drill instructor says, that was great, do it again. So, once again, some of the obstacles you face that you just find a way. And then by getting a doctorate in organizational leadership, you learn communication skills and, how to react to crises. And, but, like I said, no mayor does anything by yourself. When you're surrounded by a remarkable team, you can get through anything.
Sure. Well, that's incredible stuff. And like you said, there is no script and there's no details as far as what tomorrow's going to bring. And obviously, navigating something like that is something that nobody hopes to have to encounter. But it sounds like you leaned on some of those skills, some of that experience from the military to help guide you through that. And that's incredible stuff. So that confidence course was more about obviously what on the surface might be a physically challenging event, but obviously that's building mental strength, right?
Yeah,
And you're
correct.
probably, yeah, you're probably leaning on those around you to help push you through to the end, not only the first time, but then again. That's great stuff.
But the other thing is
Um,
too, the other challenge that we had was the COVID. And
sure.
especially when we were told initially, don't worry, it's only going to be a couple of weeks. Then it turned out to
Yeah.
be a couple of years. And but once again, you draw on the resiliency of the community, and also the management team and everybody. When you work as a team, not as an
Yeah.
island of one, not as a lone wolf McQuaid,
Sure.
your results are going to be better.
Well, you had to push through during that time because the city can't shut down, right? You got to keep the water running, you got to keep the utilities going, you got to keep those services going. So I'm sure that that was an incredibly difficult time. Are there any stories that you can share about kind of how you responded to COVID with your team and as a city? Because obviously, you guys have continued to draw big investments. You guys have seen incredible investments in a wide array of sectors in Virginia Beach. I know that that didn't slow down during that time. Can you talk about maybe what you did to continue to build on investments that you saw prior to COVID, during COVID, after COVID? What are you doing as a mayor to help bring in investment to Virginia Beach? Because it really is incredible. You guys are seeing investments in manufacturing, life sciences, defense, offshore wind. What are you doing to get that sort of investment in Virginia Beach? I
Well,
mean,
I'll
we're
tell you
talking
what.
big investments. These are
Yeah,
billions of dollars.
yeah, I think one of the biggest things we were able to do, it was really tough at first when we had like I said, it was only supposed to be a couple weeks, and then we had to
Yeah.
start mentally canceling everything. I gave the State
Yeah.
of the City on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th of that year, and the next day, the entire country shut down. And we had to cancel a lot of our events, and really had an impact on our oceanfront, which is our tourism, which
Sure.
is one of our lifeblood of revenue. But I was able to work with the governor, and we were in opposite political parties, but we came to a discussion that okay, with the COVID, you have to you know, um, protect the vulnerable, but the collateral consequences of it was depression, suicide, drug, alcohol abuse,
Sure.
increased domestic abuse. So we were able to come up with a plan. We were able to open our beaches in a limited way. We moved some advertising money forward, and we're able to be a respite for people. Um, families coming to, stay on the ocean front and walk on the beach and everything. And another big thing, it was symbolic, but it was effective. We have the East Coast Surfing Championship here.
Okay.
And we were able to still do that on a limited basis because we were able to get our beaches open a little bit.
Sure.
And they got an award. They won the recognition of being, having the world's record 60 years of having a surfing championship.
No kidding.
And we were recognized this year. That's a big deal. And
Sure.
we were able to bring in the top surfers in the world here,
Wow.
and that, with a complimentary concert this year. But a lot of it, we were able to tread water like in a riptide that year. And then once we were able to break the shore the following year, we had the best year ever at the ocean front. The whole thing is be positive, be resilient. I always like quoting Clint Eastwood from Heartbreak Ridge: improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what us jarheads do.
I'm sure that is awesome. I love that. Now let's talk a little bit about your oceanfront for a second, because I believe Virginia Beach, you've got a pretty big boardwalk, right? I think, is it one of the longest in the U.S.? Is that
No,
correct?
I tell
Or
you what, it's a point of pride. We have an ocean, we got a bay, we got hundreds of bodies of water in Virginia Beach. I live on a 64-acre lake. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff. We got a area down in the agricultural area where people go kayaking and hiking and open. It's a very open doorsy type of situation. And recently, we opened up a sports center. And
okay.
this thing we could adapt it to 14 basketball, volleyball courts, wrestling tournaments, and indoor certified AAU track and field venue. And so
Oh,
now
that's
we
great.
got people coming here year round. The idea, the big secret: play chess, not checkers. Just don't make one move at a time. Start looking at the technologies that don't even exist yet. We were talking before we got going about a company called Drone Up. They started a company about 5 years ago here as a new
Okay.
start. And now they're, at the forefront of drone technology. They got a huge contract with Walmart to develop, delivery, but they're also, the drones are going to be a lot of the vehicles of the future, and they hire a lot of people. They're hiring drone pilots and everything. The whole thing is through adversity, find opportunity.
Absolutely.
don't look at challenges as a wall. Look at it as speed bumps that just slow you down.
Always opportunity in those challenges, right? And that's awesome. I love that technology space. Just how rapidly we're seeing new industries pop up, and it gives companies like Drone Up the opportunity to really bring in some top talent right into Virginia Beach.
And they just
That's got to
got
be exciting.
recognized as the 37th fastest growing company in the nation.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
kind of cool.
That's very cool. That's great. That's great. Let's keep talking about kind of what Virginia Beach is doing in that recreational space. I know that looks like you're serving on bikeways and the Trails Advisory Committee for the city. And I'm guessing.
That went away with the duties of mayor having increased
Okay.
my
Sure.
so something that had to go. But once again, it was great to be involved with that.
Well, let's talk about kind of trail development. I'm located in Northwest Arkansas, where we've seen a tremendous amount of investment in trail development, both in hard and soft surface trails. It's brought a significant financial impact on our local economy. Can you talk about kind of impact that you're seeing for residents and for tourism on that trail development?
Right in the smack in the middle of our what we call our district. We're a very eclectic district. We have an ocean front, we have the tourism, but we also have a strong business community. That's the heart of the city, and we establish a trail system there.
Okay.
We're looking now at the potential of establishing a trail system on a swath of land that used to be a railroad track that runs from Norfolk to maybe hopefully getting out to the ocean front. The more we get on bikes and people healthy, we have 7 recreation centers throughout the city where people could join like for less than $100 a year.
So
We got
it's
kayaking,
very
we got all
accessible.
the other stuff there. But a lot of times when we build roads now, we say, okay, let's make them bicycle friendly. So we're really thinking about people's health.
Sure. Now, Norfolk is what, about 15 to 20 miles west
Oh no,
of
next
Virginia
town
Beach?
over from us, we
Next
border
town over. Okay.
Norfolk. Yep,
So right there. So the residents will be able to hop on a trail there or anywhere, I guess.
that's what we're hoping.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then be able to go all the way to the coast.
Yeah, Norfolk does that. That would be a great vision for us, and
Sure.
we're certainly looking into it because we see value to it.
Absolutely. Are you bringing in any third parties to help kind of lay out the plans for that, or how are you guys developing that? I know that when you talk about a project like that, it takes obviously a good vision, a good plan, takes cooperation from leadership from the different communities. Can you talk about kind of that process or maybe where you're at?
Well, I'll tell you what. We have a remarkable Parks and Rec thing. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing a Parks and Rec shirt.
Sure. Yeah.
And Michael Kirschman runs it for us, and he is a man of vision. I believe we won a national award for our recreation in Virginia Beach, and we are. It's been determined we're one of the best livable cities in the country, a great place to raise a family and all these other things. And the amenities that we have through our Parks and Rec department, play a long way. But also take a look at this too, economic development. When a company decides it wants to move to Virginia Beach, they also take a look at the livability, what's
Sure.
available for the employees to work here, to induce, the workers that, come along with them. And between that, our schools and the things, we're the safest city in the country.
Wow.
And our police, sheriff, fire, EMS, 911, Commonwealth attorney. We're a place that a lot of people feel safe living in. And,
Sure.
a lot of it goes to the quality of life.
Right. So I'm guessing what you guys have seen over the years is those investments in the quality of life, things like those outdoor recreational investments are obviously paying dividends for the city. And I know that when you're trying to lure a company, you're competing probably against some pretty big cities throughout the U.S. So I guess you're seeing that those investments are paying off.
I'll tell you what, and another example is really simple. We were ahead of the pickleball curve. We converted a number of our public tennis courts to pickleball courts and everything. We're getting people outdoors. I live on a lake, and all the time you see people walking around it, biking around it, and everything. We're a pretty healthy city, all things considered.
Do you all commission any studies or perform any studies on trail usability? How many people are using those trails
Yeah,
or anything like that?
you just can't. Yeah, let me put it this way: everything requires planning and justification, especially
Sure.
if you're going to incur an expense, a capital improvement product or anything. People have to show an interest in it and things of that nature. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, but boy, it's sure great. I've opened up a number of health issues that are, venues that are, it's pretty cool being a mayor. Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's pretty fun, right? That's the fun part.
Yep.
So you kind of touched on it just a second ago, and I want to just hit on it just a little bit because obviously we're in a time of rising costs. We've seen some incredible inflation over the last year or so. Um, how obviously one of your main duties is maintaining the city's budget. What are you having to do during this period to make sure that your budgets are staying intact and you've got money for things that are kind of the more fun parts about being a mayor?
Well,
Um,
the whole thing is connectivity with the public. Explain to them what you're doing and why. Once again, in spite of the budget challenges and the inflation, don't forget, we're definitely affected too. When you think about the thousands of vehicles we got between school buses, police cars, government vehicles, when the price goes up and we're budgeted at X amount, and then all of a sudden that cost kind of doubles,
yeah,
that impacts us. The building our new city hall was delayed because we had a problem with the supply chain with brick.
sure.
Finding skilled workers. We built a brand new bridge recently, but we had to go out of state to find welders to come in.
Sure.
So once again, we face those challenges, and it's just working it through.
Sure. Well, it all goes back to that resiliency aspect, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you might not be able to get everything the way you want it when you want it, but you have to adapt and overcome. I think that that's kind of a common thread, right?
yeah. But I tell you what, a lot of it has come that is the ability to realign priorities and then adapt accordingly. We have a stormwater problem. Hurricane Matthew a number of years ago. A lot of Virginia Beach got flooded. And number one, first of all, it affects the people that live in those neighborhoods, first and foremost. But the other
Sure.
thing is too, when you think about the military, we have a number of military bases here, Oceana Airfield, Dam Neck, and Little Creek, where people got to be able to get to the base. We have a very, very important part with the nation's defense, but also economic development, where companies look at us. How are we dealing, with storm water rise and, flood zones and things? So what we did had a referendum recently, and 72% agreed to raise over $500 million in stormwater mitigation.
Wow.
And once again, we had to impose that 4-cent increase. during a time where, a lot of folks are out there struggling. But the other thing is too, maintaining essential city services. Yeah, we had to address, police, public safety, but also, we needed engineers. We were losing engineers that were approving business plans, and, slowing down the process there. And then
Sure.
even people in waste management, that were making, just above minimum wage. So we had to make an adjustment there to make salary adjustments during a tough economic time. But once again, even through the COVID, we had, inflation followed by inflation. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were significant challenges that we had to overcome.
But you've overcome it. It sounds like health of the city, appears to be great. Feels, I guess you're saying that financially, city's in good shape at this point. Sounds like you've had to obviously ask for some cooperation from everybody, but sounds like you guys are doing pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you what, the idea is, keep the public engaged. Let me put it this way. Every time you vote, you're making somebody mad. And not everybody's going to be happy all the time,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
do what's right and not what's political, but take the time to explain to people what you're doing.
Right. Right. And kind of along back to that, you mentioned, you inevitably, I don't care what organization is, retaining employees is challenging. Being a mayor is challenging even in the easiest of times. What can you talk to me about you do as mayor to really foster an environment that keeps the right people in the right seats, making sure you've got a place where people really take pride in their jobs and want to continue to work for Virginia Beach.
The whole thing is having the corporate culture, the corporate ethos that we are an inclusive, welcoming, warming government. We engage with people. I'm proud of the fact I did over 60 ribbon cuttings during COVID. People that were still having confidence in us. We have a very proactive economic development organization. We're in foreign countries now, looking to bring business here. We have a couple, sea cables coming in that have,
Sure.
that we have a cable coming in where every motion picture uh, made in history can be transported in a matter of seconds. We got broadband coming in. We used to
Let's talk about
rely.
those let's talk about those sea cables for a minute. Um, what exactly are they, and where do they go? Where are they connecting to?
Well, they bring in everywhere from Google to all the other data centers. A lot of data
Sure.
that don't forget, economies are global now.
Sure.
And so a lot of the cables that come in do come from overseas. And they used to bypass Virginia Beach, but now they're interested
Coming
in
straight in.
people setting up companies right here. You mentioned our offshore wind, which would help take our electricity over off the grid and offer companies a green designation as an inducement to come here. One of the biggest challenges that I've had as mayor and as during my tenure on council is what we call the brain drain, where children would graduate from the universities, not be able to find high-paying jobs here, and go to the work for Northern Virginia and New York, all over the country. Well, now we're starting to say is, and I'm proud to say, friends don't let their friends let their kids move to Northern Virginia. We'll get you a job right here. So we're going to be able to. The whole secret is to keep on diversifying your economy. We were relying on 47% of the business of Hampton Roads, where we are, was directly related to the Department of Defense. We had a tourism industry. We have a huge port here. But if we can bring in those types of businesses, that technology is staying here and upscale manufacturing and things of that nature. True diversification of the economy is what we really need.
Well, and it seems like you've got that. I mean, going back to it, you've got tremendous investments across a wide array of sectors, from agriculture to defense to your offshore wind project to the port to your sea cables. I mean, the opportunities really do seem endless, and I know that retaining people that grow up there to get them to stay is huge for your local economy, right?
Oh, I tell you, workforce development, yeah, it is essential. Like I mentioned before, we had trouble finding welders, on a
Yeah,
major project. And you got to realize that, not everybody's, college material, but if we can create trade schools, for welders, pipe fitters, HVAC, we're going to need people to maintain the wind turbines and, create, construction workers and things of that nature.
sure.
Yeah, creating that workforce. We're getting involved with a program called Skill Bridge, where people that are in the military, months before they get out, they can transition into a job here. And we were just nationally recognized as a place where veterans getting out of the service, people want to stay right here in Virginia Beach.
And that's great. That's great. Let's talk about kind of maybe a favorite success story that you've got. I know right now you're right at 4 years of being mayor of Virginia Beach, and obviously you've been involved many years prior to that as a member of the city council. Is there maybe a favorite project or favorite success story that you've got as part of your involvement with the government of Virginia Beach?
Well, I'll tell you what, I hit on it before, was working collaboratively with the governor during the height of COVID and getting the beaches open. But I'm gonna, but I'm not one to brag. I like it, believe me, you got to be humble in this job. And, like I said, realize what other people do. I often ask a question, name a city that made it through the COVID better than Virginia Beach. And to date, nobody's been able to do that. We hung in there as a community. We were able to divert sources, the CARES Act money and other incentives, to the community. The business owners showed that they were adaptive and, did some incredible things. So I give a lot of credit. The strength of Virginia Beach are the people. And
Sure.
we hung in there. And, that's a point of pride for me, but it's also, shows the mettle and the backbone of the city. And, so I think that's the biggest achievement to date.
Great. No, appreciate that. Uh, any other proud moments of your career that you'd like to share? I know you said you're a humble guy, but any other proud moments that you'd like to share?
Well, I tell you what, we hired a remarkable, city manager out of Cincinnati who turned out to be a total game changer to put together a management team. Uh, Patrick Dehaney and I, who was born in the island of Jamaica, and has turned out to be a total game changer. He was the former, as I said, former manager at Cincinnati and everything, and he brought in a police chief that has brought a lot of new ideas and technology to the city that our crime rates in a nation that has been having some problems. Not to say that we are exempt from any problem, but we're proactively working on it. We've been putting the right people in place to get the job done. And recently, the Virginia Municipal League Mayors Association had Patrick and I, our city manager, come in. We were the keynote uh, speech, uh, speech recently on how a mayor and a city manager can work together to get through tough times. That to me was a biggie.
Can you give us any key takeaways from that speech, as far as the collaboration between you and the city manager, how you're able to maybe do things a little bit differently?
Mutual respect, no respecting each other's roles. Let the manager be the manager. Don't get involved in personnel issues. Be there for each other. But most of all, effective communication. When we get together, before city council meetings with the vice mayor, city manager, city attorney, and, city clerk, and the city's attorney, lobbyist. We have a good time. We respect each other. We work collaboratively, and building. Let me put it this way: when people walk into building one now, hopefully that feeling of positivity is contagious right now. And we have to set the tone, and I think that's
Sure.
a mission essential.
That's great. That's great. Great insight. Any other mentors, influences over your career that you'd like to mention? Books, anything like that that have been particularly impactful on you that you might be able to share?
Well, I'll tell you what. A couple of things like getting being having a doctorate in organizational leadership, and learning courses on effective communication, persuasion, motivating people, and really focus that any organization, it's really the people. And I determined a thing what I call the alarm clock test. If you're a manager and your workers' alarm clocks go off, do they jump out of bed and say, "Boy, I can't wait to get to work," or they keep on hitting the snooze button? That's up to you as a manager, which type of person you got there. But I also taught at the master's level for 12 years at Regent University and number of other places. You'd be surprised how much you can learn from the students. And that's why you always got to, learning is lifelong.
Sure.
And, that's how you're able to adapt to changes that come up, suddenly. You have all these things now called disruptive technologies out there. Amazon's a great company, but it's putting malls out of business and everything, strip malls and everything. How do you adapt? So we're looking at certain things right now. For instance, maybe taking some strip malls and repurposing them into multi-use communities where you could have condos and businesses on it, and people like contained communities and things
Sure.
of that nature. And then also, thinking ahead and proactively. I know one of your concerns is, how do we help out our builders? But, how do you help out the builders in an era when a lot of the regulation stormwater that are coming down from federal, state, and local governments are, really increasing the cost and complexity, to the
Sure.
builders? How do you find that balance? Because the biggest challenge that we have in the city is affordable housing. Making
Yeah.
sure people that make living wage have a place to come. So it's always the striving to find that balance and find that opportunity.
That's great stuff. Last question here. I know we've got to wrap it up. If I'm a company or a person considering Virginia Beach, how are you going to get me there?
Now, I tell you what, come and see us, come and visit. Come and walk on our beaches. Come talk to me. Come talk to our economic development people. Come talk to companies that have their businesses here. I tell you what, find out the city who we are. And I'll tell you what, people take time and effort to do that. I think we got an easy sell.
Hey, I'd like to come visit you, Mayor, for sure. Yeah, I think you've sold me. I really appreciate your time. The key takeaways for me today on your success is collaboration, respect, effective communication, investing in the right places, and everything else will kind of fall into place. Mayor, I really appreciate your time today. It sounds like you've got a lot of good things ahead for Virginia Beach. So thank you for joining today.
I'll tell you, it was an honor, but thank you for you're taking your time and effort. We find out that government can't do anything by all things by itself. It's folks like you that, take it up to let's make things better. And ultimately, we have one thing in common. Let's get to yes.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you.
Hey, you got it. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Enterprise Builders Podcast. See you again next time, and make sure to click subscribe to get updates on future episodes.